In a rather interesting turn of events, Kamala Harris has overtaken Donald Trump in Iowa. Iowa, a state seen as a victory that was certain for Trump, but maybe not anymore. A poll from a highly respected pollster shows that Harris leading Trump 47% to 44%. Lots of helicopters here. You can hear we're outdoors here, so lots of air traffic. But going back to that story, 47% to 44% among likely voters in Iowa. In Iowa, there a sudden surprise there for Harris, putting her in the lead. We're now going live to Times Square, where our New York bureau chief, Natasha Israni, is standing by. Natasha, tell us more about this Iowa poll. What do we know?
Good morning, Ali. Yes, this news over the weekend has really overshadowed a lot else. Now, so much focus has been on the 7 swing states. To now see Iowa, which has reliably gone to Trump in the last 2 election cycles, is a bit of a big change around, rather. And as you said, the pollster giving this information is highly respected. And according to her, one of the reasons could be women. And the fact that Roe versus Wade was overturned and more women are showing out in large numbers because this is a huge issue for many of them, the right to their own bodies and the right to have an abortion. So that could be one of the reasons. But I do also still want to point out that when it comes to the rest of the states, the swing states, the election, the polls show a very tight race. So by no means is this any clear indicator of what's going to happen come election day. But it certainly has been a big surprise, given that Trump and Harris were not really even campaigning that much in Iowa. And to talk to us about a lot more of the situation here in the United States and also the uncertainty that is at unprecedented levels compared to previous election cycles, we have 2 guests joining us in Times Square. We have Jamie Metzl. He's a geopolitical analyst, also a technology futurist, and the author of Super Convergence amidst other books. And we have Anu Gupta. He's a human rights lawyer. He's worked a lot on breaking bias, and that's also the name of his book, Breaking Bias. I wanted to start by asking both of you, as a reporter, I have to say this is the 5th US presidential elections I'm covering, but I've never felt a sense of fear, even the threats to the media that we see. And I want to just get a sense from both of you on where do you think this level of fear amongst voters, and also the polls are showing a large number of percentage of Americans are scared about what happens after election day. Why is that, Dave?
Well, we're seeing a level of toxicity in our electoral process that we haven't seen maybe since the Civil War or at the end of Reconstruction. And the reason for that is an increasing tribalism in our political system. And we have one candidate, Donald Trump, who has his followers attacked the capital of our country. He's calling the media the enemy of the people. He's whipping his followers into a frenzy in a really dangerous way. And we need to have the messaging that we are all one country and one people. We're all in the same boat. And if we attack each other, our boat is going to sink. So I think certainly Anu and I are feeling heart palpitations about where things are heading.
Anu, what do you think?
Bias is really central to what's happening, and it's particularly confirmation. So basically, they want to believe that they weren't. But the media has done, I mean, amplify that. And people are, as a result, being manipulated.
Now, we are hearing campaign officials, in the election officials in the swing states, they're putting barbed wire around some. They're really preparing for possible political violence as well. And one thing they do point out is that they can create the right environment. They can learn de-escalation techniques as well. But what they are concerned about is what the Trump campaign might or might not say on election day. How big is that a factor? And the threats to Trump actually have come also from what he says is the Democratic side, and he's also survived an assassination attempt. So is this both ways?
I think it's both ways. It's being fed with, lies laced with engagement, but faster. and truth itself. That's what's been happening right now. That's what's to manipulate public large groups of people.
Jamie, what is it?
So we have a fantastic electoral. Last elections were really clean and fair, and the new ones will be too. But people are being pushed into these information cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
And democracy is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end of good governance. And our democracy is only as good as we are. And so we need to inspire ourselves to be our best. And certainly we have people who are trying to push people to be our worst with fake claims that by their own private assertions, they don't even believe. And that's really dangerous. Democracy belongs to the people, but the American people need to fight for our democracy or we're going to lose it. And that is largely what this election is about.
Talking about democracy, America is well known as being the oldest democracy in the world, and it is still, a global leader on geopolitics. Now, when outsiders look at America and see this uncertainty, then questions are raised about American democracy. Do you think that's over-exaggerated, or do you think, come what may, no matter what wins, democracy is still going to survive and be robust in this country?
I think democracy will survive, but there's a reason the world has looked as it has since 1945, and that's because America and its allies won the war, and Germany and Japan and their allies lost the war. And so we live in a world where globalization is in many significant ways guided by what we in America are here doing at home. If we lose faith in ourselves, in our values, in our way of life, in the system that we've helped spread around the world has benefited everybody, including everybody in India, that's going to be a real danger. And if Donald Trump comes in and strikes a deal and surrenders to Putin like he surrendered to the Taliban, if the message is that America is divided and weak, we're going to see a lot of conflicts around the world.
So analysts will say that sometimes what Trump says on the campaign is very different from what he does when he's in the White House. What do you say to that, Anu?
I think we have to believe him. We have like you said, we have to bring people together. We have to understand one another beyond our differences because we all belong in this country, and that's what's at stake. Who is American? Who isn't? Who belongs? Who doesn't belong? And that's what I think a lot of voters are also questioning. I hope is that voters will basically come on the side to protect our democracy. But if they don't, we still have to protect it together.
Yes, we've had huge early voting numbers, around 85 million is what I hear, but it's still less than 2020 in terms of early voting numbers. And that could have also been because of the pandemic when there were a lot more mail-in ballots. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to you, Alistair, in the studio. This is Natasha starting with her guest in Times Square.
Right.